It was a quiet summer night in Villisca, Iowa, June 9th, 1912. The kind of night where crickets hummed softly in the fields, where the streets of the small town were silent by 10 o'clock, and where no one could have imagined that inside a white, two-story home on East 2nd Street, 8 souls would soon meet their end. Josiah and Sarah Moore had spent the day at church with their children, Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and little Paul. And afterward, they invited 2 young girls, Ina and Lena Stillinger, to stay the night. By all accounts, it was the picture of innocence. A sleepover, children whispering under quilts, a mother and father locking the doors as the lamps went out. But when the sun rose over Villisca the next morning, the Moore house stood strangely still. No children ran out to play, no breakfast smells drifted through the open windows. A concerned neighbor came knocking, but there was no answer. Hours passed, unease spread, and eventually someone entered the home. What they found inside would scar the town forever. All 8 people, 2 adults, 6 children, were brutally murdered in their beds, hacked to death with Josiah Moore's own axe. The weapon was left leaning against the wall, as though the killer had carefully placed it there. Every mirror in the house had been covered with cloths or clothing. Every victim's face had been draped with sheets or garments. The killer had moved deliberately, methodically, ensuring no eyes, living or dead, could look back at him. In Josiah's case, the blows were so severe his skull was split open beyond recognition. Yet there were details even more unsettling. Untouched food left on the kitchen table, a plate of half-eaten meat abandoned, as though the murderer had paused for a midnight snack after the slaughter. There were cigarette butts in the attic, suggesting the killer had hidden there, waiting for the family to fall asleep. And the horror did not end there. Investigators noted that lamps had been dismantled, their chimneys removed to dim the light. Doors were locked from the inside. Strangest of all, the killer had lingered. He had taken time after the murders, perhaps hours, roaming the house while the bodies cooled. Neighbors swore they saw smoke rising from the chimney the next morning. Did the murderer stay inside as the town bustled outside, living among corpses until he finally slipped away? The thought chills the blood. The investigation quickly became a circus. Bloodhounds were brought in, suspects were paraded, and rumors flew through the small community. Some believed it was Reverend George Kelly, a traveling preacher with disturbing habits who confessed and recanted multiple times. Others suspected a local man, or even a drifter who had been seen nearby. Theories grew wild: a traveling serial killer, a ritual slaying, even something supernatural. Trials were held, confessions extracted, but in the end, no conviction, no closure. The case went cold, leaving the Moore house forever tainted. Over a century has passed, but the Villisca Axe murders still haunt both investigators and locals. The house still stands today, restored to its 1912 state, and it has become infamous as one of the most haunted homes in America. Paranormal investigators claim to hear children's laughter, footsteps on the stairs, doors creaking shut by themselves. Some visitors have been scratched, others fainted. One group, armed with cameras and recorders, captured the sound of a child crying out for her mother. And in 2014, during an overnight investigation, a paranormal enthusiast was discovered stabbed in the chest in the very same house. Though police ruled it self-inflicted, the timing was enough to send shivers across the nation. The Villisca Axe murders remain unsolved. No one knows who crept through that house, axe in hand, extinguishing 8 innocent lives. Was it a jealous rival? A religious madman? A killer who simply enjoyed the silence after the screams? What we do know is that evil does not always come with a monster's face. Sometimes it walks quietly through unlocked doors and disappears into the night. And perhaps that's why the story endures, because whoever killed the Moores walked away free, blending into the ordinary world, carrying with them a secret so dark that it still lingers in the halls of that house, whispering through the cracks of time, reminding us that true horror is not in the ghosts we imagine, but in the people who walk among us, smiling by day, murdering by night, and vanishing without a trace.